Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
WMAL. 7:06 Wednesday morning. Thank you for joining us on our live stream that we like to call radio. Why is that funny? We got to better communicate to the younger audience, Julie. So if you say listen to our radio show, they're like, radio? It's like, no, we're live streaming, okay? We're so live streaming, man.
You're so bitter.
It's our 4-hour morning live stream. It's O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in. Joining us at 7:35, Tom Fitton of Judicial Watch. He's got the goods on those that done Peanut the Squirrel wrong. And then at 8:05, my conversation with Secretary of Education Linda McMahon yesterday at 1600 Pennsylvania. It was a good day yesterday over there at the White House, and you'll hear that coming up. It's Larry O'Connor with live stream podcaster Julie Gunlock. Good morning, Julie. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Good morning.
Right now, we're joined by a good man, Pat Herrity. He's a member of the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors. When last we spoke, he was announcing his campaign to be lieutenant governor. But, it's interesting, Supervisor Herrity. God always has different plans for us, and it's always humbling when he taps us on our shoulder and reminds us of his sovereignty. And it turns out that you announced this weekend that you were withdrawing from this race due to health issues. And first of all, listen, no one has anything bad to say about you. You're a classy man, and you are a professional, and you're a patriot. I'm sorry that you've had to deal with this, but I'm most sorry about your health situation. Can you give us an update? How are things going?
Things are going well. It is going to take me. Had some complications after heart surgery, and it's going to take me a good bit longer to recover than I anticipated. Maybe looking at some additional procedures, but I'm not going to be able to give it the 150% it takes to travel statewide, 6 out of 7 days a week, and be on all the time. And it just it's not in the cards for me this year. And as we talked before, as you remember, we now have a radio broadcaster as a lieutenant governor candidate.
Yes.
So we'll see how radio broadcasters do.
Don't count us out, Herrity. Don't ever count out the radio talk show host. Listen, your colleagues on the board of Supervisors are not helping out your heart condition in any way whatsoever. I mean, that's challenge enough. And last night's budget meeting, I think, was a good representation of that. What are they thinking? Are they usually elected officials in a county want to attract new residents and want to attract new businesses, but these guys seem to have a different agenda.
Yeah, Larry and Julie, I just don't get it. For years, I've been asking. We've known bad budgets have been coming for years, between the commercial tax base and the pandemic, and now the federal workforce. But they won't do a deep dive on the budget. I think they're afraid of some of the things that are sitting in the budget, the decisions that they made. But we've had a 60% increase in taxes over the last 10 years. This year alone, there's a 7.5% increase on the average homeowner, and then they're going to put a meals tax and a hotel tax on top of that. And if I can, I'm sorry, worse yet, the budget includes $30 million in cuts to public safety, including things like ambulances, rescue squads, our CERT team, high school crossing guards, our middle school after-school program that's been around 20 years. And people are upset. There were 150 people that testified last night, 120 on the budget and 30 on the various tax rate increases. And we got another night tonight with over 100, and who knows how many will show up on Thursday. People are very upset.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about that. I've never seen movement like this. I've gotten so many emails. Katie Gorka came on yesterday to talk about a rally, and I've gotten emails from several people, including, Catholic groups, and there's been some really compelling testimony from, young families saying, we can't, one, expand our family, and two, we can't stay here, even with the family that we have. So have you seen sort of this grassroots movement like this? Because I think this is really powerful.
Well, I haven't seen it quite like this. There were, the boardroom was full last night of people that were there wearing yellow shirts, stop raising taxes. They were wearing white shirts, no more, no tax on meals.
Yeah.
The budget, the county executive it's been left to the county executive to come up with cuts. But unfortunately, what's not up for discussion and for reductions by the board are literally the hundreds of millions we're spending on government subsidized housing, the $100+ million we're spending on carbon neutrality, the millions we're spending just on the staff side for collective bargaining. We, the board over staff's objection adopted prevailing wage and project labor agreement, which our staff said was going to increase project costs by 10 to 15%. And then you add another 6 to 10% from the board approved requirement to go from LEED silver to LEED gold. I just, at every turn, this board increases costs, and then when it comes to budget, they raise taxes and cut programs that are important to our residents.
Wow.
And it's got to change. And what you're seeing is people reacting to those two things, those two dynamics.
We're speaking with Fairfax County Supervisor Pat Herrity. A big chunk of the budget is, of course, for the school system. You've got a school board who is defying the president's executive order over gender policies, absolutely saying, fine, we'll see you in court. That means they're putting in danger federal funding, number one. But number two, that means they're going to spend money on lawyers to have a big fight with Donald Trump because they're more interested in politically fighting with Donald Trump than they are in actually providing a good education. And it's over these gender policies that the majority of Fairfax County residents even don't like, and that's a county that leans to the left. Is there any indication from your colleagues that they can actually sort of rein in this out-of-control school board and tell them that they can fight their woke political battles, but don't do it with tax dollars and don't do it at the expense of the children?
Yeah, and unfortunately, Larry, it's for the last several school boards, we have stopped electing PTA mom and dads and started electing people that were interested in political careers.
Yep.
So the school boards now have become all about a stepping stone to the Board of Supervisors or other elected office. And then it becomes about political agendas. And when you're in a one-party county like this, like Fairfax, it becomes about political agendas. And you mentioned the gender stuff, but you've also got millions and millions invested in equity. You've got administration that's out of control. I could go on and on about the school board and the school budget. I mean, I was ridiculed. I get ridiculed regularly, but I was ridiculed 3 years ago when I wanted to reduce the school budget because we dropped 13,000 students in the pandemic.
Right.
The one bright spot here is that the board is not giving the school board the full transfer. So there is a little bit of a bright spot that there's starting to be a little bit of a check on the school board.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Pat Herrity, member of the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors, and we keep you in our prayers as you continue to mend, and we look forward to you engaging in more and more fights on our behalf in days to come. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Anytime, Larry. Bye.
It's 7:15. I don't know if you remember. Yesterday we were at the White House. They did a media row. It was a blast to hang out with friends. We already played several interviews with you, and coming up, our conversation with Secretary of Education Linda McMahon. Although I want to remind you of this young lady, Tricia McLaughlin. She's one of the spokespeople for Homeland Security. She was on talking about the Maryland man myth on ABC News. Here, real fast, take a listen to this, cut 9.
Wait, I'm going to stop you there. What is your evidence, Tricia? Wait, I got to stop you there. What's your evidence that he's in MS-13?
Well, there's actually been 2 separate immigration judges, Jay, who have confirmed and ruled that he is a member of MS-13.
Well,
that as well as we have intelligence
it was brought up in deportation proceedings.
Jay.
But what's the evidence that was brought up in those deportation proceedings that he's in MS-13?
Jay. I can do this all day, Jay. He is a member of MS-13. I don't think you'd want to be his neighbor, Jay.
I love that moment so much. I can do this all day, Jay. Just bring it on. So she's in the room with Kristi Noem, sort of like tagging along with Kristi Noem, the Secretary of Homeland Security. You heard her on Vince's show yesterday. And so I see her, and I'm like, you're Tricia McLaughlin. You did the – and she's like, yeah. I said, sit down. I want to talk to you.
Good.
I want to talk to you. You're awesome.
Her Twitter account is really good, too. She's constantly correcting the record. Excellent work.
Yep, she's great. She gets it. She understands about the media. She's in the perfect job right now. So I want you to listen. I had a quick conversation with her. And it makes me so excited. These young conservatives who are media savvy, who are working with this White House. You worry about the future. Do not worry about the future. Listen to Tricia McLaughlin. Tricia McLaughlin was a superstar for DHS, speaking on behalf of our Homeland Security. And you have to deal with all these questions about the Maryland man, right? Our favorite Maryland man.
The Maryland man, the media darling, the very innocent man that the media claims. Yes, all about him.
This narrative, this is what the media does. They find this story and they just decide that you guys are the bad guys and you've got to be doing something wrong. Is that frustrating for you that you spend so much of your time, instead of proactively talking about the great stuff Homeland Security is doing right now under Secretary Noem, instead you're reacting to lies? You're reacting to false stories all the time.
I think, of course, there's frustration there because we are making the American people safer. Secretary Noem and President Trump have created the most secure border in American history in less than 100 days. But I think that there is something gratifying about the media and the Democrats jumping on this narrative that this is this innocent Maryland father, and in reality he is anything but. Not only did his wife have written testimony that he beat her, but when he was initially arrested in 2019, he was decked out in MS-13 garb. He was with two members of MS-13. He had drugs and rolls of money on him. We have intelligence that further shows he's MS-13. And oh, by the way, he was involved in human trafficking on a 3-day journey, allegedly from Texas to Maryland with 8 individuals, and yet no luggage, Larry. What does that tell you? That is textbook human trafficking.
And by the way, Senator Van Hollen deciding to ignore all of that. He doesn't believe it. Well, these are Prince George's County, Maryland police officers in his state that he's basically saying got it wrong, or even worse, we're lying about this.
And seeing Rachel Morin's mother from the press briefing podium, and just how raw that was, but what a courageous job she did that day as the man who's supposed to be representing her and her family, and her late daughter is off in El Salvador doing the bidding of an MS-13 gang member. It's disgusting.
You point out the human trafficking part. He was stopped in Tennessee. He had 7 other people in the vehicle with him. 8. Thank you. That story, because it was revealed, actually displayed even more about what happened during the Biden administration, because the police in Tennessee saw that something was up, called DHS, called FBI, and what did they say? Take a picture and let them go. What would happen under Secretary Noem and under FBI Director Patel if that happened today?
I mean, there are illegal aliens, first of all, out. And that's why we're telling people, if you are in this country illegally, you should leave now, because if not, we will find you, we will arrest you, and we will lock you up and deport you. Under Secretary Noem, there's no question. If there's alleged human trafficking at the hands of illegal aliens, they're getting locked up. There's no question.
So Secretary Noem has spoken about how the officers on the ground and the people in the front lines, they kind of get a kick out of her getting dressed up and going out and kicking ass with them. And I think that's pretty fun. How much of that, though, because when you do that, the video is going to go out and news organizations are going to run with the video. How important is that's part of the plan, isn't it? You want to send the message that we're coming to get you, so you better leave on your own.
Larry, this is a message of deterrence. As we've said before, leave now and criminal aliens stay out. I think that, first of all, our law enforcement on the ground with Secretary Noem, them seeing her in action, these guys have been hamstrung for the last 4 years by President Biden, told don't do your job, or heck, there could be consequences for you if you're arresting people. So she's actually empowering them, saying, what can I do to make you safer? What can I do to make you more successful? What can we do to get these arrest numbers up and get deportation numbers up? That's what the American people and our law enforcement should be saying. And oh, by the way, to illegal immigrants in this country, get the heck out, because we'll hunt you down.
What can you do with these sanctuary cities? Last question. I know that you speak on behalf of the Secretary, but I know that this is a major issue for her and for the administration, where you've got cities, counties, states who are basically protecting people who have broken the law. And that only means more law breaking in the communities.
Yeah, I think we're looking at options with DOJ, with Attorney General Bondi, because they are slowing us down. There's just no question. And they're also becoming a safe harbor for these criminal illegal aliens. Yeah. MS-13, Trende Aragua, actual terrorists, whether it be from Iran or other places that in the last 4 years, they've come with impunity to this country.
Do you have a favorite J.D. Vance meme?
Oh, gosh. They're all so good.
I know they are good.
I think either staring at the debate is just, it's a classic.
That's probably the best. There it is. Tricia McLaughlin kicking butt over at DHS. Everyone at DHS is kicking butt right now. That's why we have elections.
Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It is 7:37. Good morning. Thanks for joining us here on O'Connor and Company. This is WMAL, where we live stream our radio show every single day for everyone to hear. This is a 4-hour morning live stream and later in the day podcast that you can subscribe to wherever you like to listen to your podcasts. Coming up later in the program at 8:05, we're going to speak with Secretary of Education Linda McMahon. This is actually a conversation I had yesterday afternoon at the White House, and you'll be able to hear that in a moment. Also, at 8:35, we're going to check in with our friend Bethany Mandel, who was in attendance for those Supreme Court arguments, a fight that she's been fighting along with so many of us over parents in Montgomery County merely wanting to opt their children out of sexually sensitive and explicit curriculum. And apparently that needs to go to the Supreme Court. But it did, and Bethany will give us a first-hand report. That's all coming up. I'm Larry O'Connor alongside the delightful and stabby Julie Gunlock. You shouldn't tell me. She texted me. She texted me just now and said, I'm feeling stabby this morning. And I was like, good, save it for the radio. You ready? Everyone thinks you're so sweet.
Why don't you read all my texts, Larry? Just read them all.
Oh, no. We'll all get fired for that. Joining us right now, hopefully our text messages will not be requested in a FOIA demand from Judicial Watch, but Tom Fitton is the man for the job if it's to happen. Tom at Judicial Watch, always good to talk with you, my friend. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm not sure if I want to continue this conversation, but that's okay.
You're safe.
Everything's
fine. Everything's fine.
We've been teasing all morning long that you finally, you've got the goods on the whole Peanut the Squirrel story, and I do want to talk about that. But quickly, you live in the area. You have children in school. I'm sure you've been watching this Montgomery County story that made it to the Supreme Court yesterday, and the way the media has covered it, and made anybody who dares to suggest that their kindergartner should not be exposed to sensitive sexual, even identity or relationship topics without parents' consent. Tom, setting aside politics, how did we get here at this place where this even has to go to the Supreme Court? As a parent, aren't you? I'm still dumbfounded how radical and how quickly and how radical Montgomery County and other jurisdictions around here have gotten.
Yeah, I mean, what it comes down to, the books are bad enough.
Yeah.
But there's a curriculum around the books. And the left are outraged that parents may not want their young children to engage in sex talk with government employees who are teachers. That's what it comes down to. Do you want your child engaging in sex talk with another adult who you don't know? Well, and they may say, oh, no, that's not what we're doing. Exactly what they're doing. They want to engage in sexual discussions with children.
Yep.
And any school who does that, frankly, it's not even a question of opting out. It's a question is, why aren't there prosecutions of adults who want to do that?
Yeah. Tom, it was interesting, too. Gorsuch actually got to this. He kind of examined how these books are used. They don't use them in human sexuality class. They use them in English. So what they do is they integrate these books with sexual content into the regular curriculum. So as a parent, you think, oh, they're in who objects to my kid being in English class? Who objects to my kids being in history class, right? And what you don't realize is that and when parents might get nervous is, let me look at what's being taught in human sexuality. No. They actually integrate it into the regular curriculum so parents don't know. They're hiding it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
This is going to be an ongoing risk of any public school. I mean,
yes.
The left is going to do this no matter where and no matter how, forever. And parents must be eternally vigilant if their child is in a public school. Private schools don't get a free pass there, but at least you've got choices.
Right.
Public schools, once you're in, they don't want you to have choices.
Right.
All right. So while we've got Tom, actually, you know what? I want to get in. We're going to carry. Are you okay to do a second segment with us?
Sure.
You got okay, good. Because I want to get into the peanut squirrel stuff. I really do. But also, I'm also curious in terms of your thoughts on the whole narrative that we've been covering on the Maryland man and the deportation of this man who is, by all credible law enforcement observations, a member of MS-13. The rollout, because you specialize in the government documentation and trying to, uncover the truth. The rollout of the information about this guy and about the tactics used by Homeland Security under Joe Biden to allow him and so many others that were pulled over for human trafficking, apparently in Tennessee, just let them out and let them loose. This has sort of been a treasure trove of revealing exactly how our government functions and where Democrats put their priorities, Tom.
Yeah, more of it. I think they should kind of be in favor of, as President Trump calls, maximum government transparency on these gangbangers they are trying to deport. Sometimes over, where you have the courts actually not only trying to stop them from being deported, but in the case of this MS-13 gang member, they're trying to re-import him back into the United States. And the more we know about these gangsters, it's harder for the left media to engage in this narrative, and they're kind of just they're flailing at this point. And the problem for the Democratic Party on these issues is that they have these communists who are running the show, and they really don't know how to behave rationally as a result from their pressure. Where you have a sitting U.S. senator travel to another country on the taxpayer dime to meet with a gangster and pretend that there's anything normal, and while pretending there's something normal about that.
Coming up, we learned last year that we were told the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation were responding to complaints. That's where they got Fred the raccoon and Peanut the squirrel, and after further examination, they decided that they needed to be euthanized. Is that the truth, or were they really a state of New York assassination squad that was sent specifically to rub out that little squirrel? We'll get to the truth in a moment with Tom Fitton of Judicial Watch. It's 7:44.
WMAL, making sense of the markets, because generational wealth doesn't build itself. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
Little critter news action here with Tom Fitton of Judicial Watch as we re-examine the story of Peanut the squirrel. Tom, we were told that there were multiple complaints. You've done a FOIA request, or the New York State version of the FOIA request. We were told multiple complaints about these wild rabbit animals who were being kept illegally as domestic animals. Were there actually complaints from anyone who lived there, or were these just people on social media? Because these guys, they had an Instagram account, and they would show these animals in their house. So was it just people living God knows where, seeing it on Instagram, or were there actual threats or concerns about neighbors of these people?
Yeah, I mean, you raise a fair question. What came across in the documents is it really didn't matter, because once there was one complaint, you had these government bureaucrats start scrolling through the social media of the target of the, targeting the owner to figure out what was going on. And, the documents show they had 12 people raid the home, and they were planning to cut the animals' heads off ahead of time. And I don't say that lightly, because that's how you investigate a rabies incident, is by decapitating the animals. And so the notion that, they went into the home and the squirrel bit a poor worker, poor government official, and they needed to check for that's not what the documents show. The document shows a squirrel did bite someone, but he didn't break the skin, or frankly even the leather or the glove that the official was wearing. And
wow,
I think it just, to say that 12 people raided a home, 12 government agents raided a home because they were concerned that a squirrel and a raccoon were being kept improperly, I mean, to state it is to condemn it.
Yeah, and there's no, like you say, there's no other way to examine this but to kill the squirrel, and there were no, and also, wasn't there a raccoon involved as well?
Yes, Fred.
Fred, gosh. So they go in, they make these.
Poor Fred doesn't get all the glory that Peanut has gotten, but he got his head chopped off too.
Well,
God. Is this
these were family pets, and it's I don't know if there was a technical violation of the rules against harboring wildlife, but it was come on.
Oh, it's so sad.
Give them a ticket. Seize the animals, put them in a sanctuary. There are all sorts of things they could have done without a government raid, and obviously this gained national headlines. People were outraged, and I don't think you need to be a supporter of Judicial Watch or be worried about the deep state to think, well, this was a step too far.
It was, and these people, they raided this house. They terrified these animals. These animals were found sort of hiding, one in luggage, one in a bathtub in the house. And again, they cut the head off, euthanized these animals. What have the owners? Did they sue? I thought they sued.
Last I checked, they were talking about suing. It was also dangerous. I presume the government was armed.
Yeah.
The owner probably could have been armed as well. And who knows what happens in those scenarios? It's a risky. You don't want to look. If you're going to raid someone's home, it's inherently dangerous, right? And that's why the police send 12 people. I'm not.
The government should be rather circumspect when doing something like this.
Right. I mean, there's got to be,
Tom, real fast.
They got to be worried about Donald Trump. They have to be worried about situations where a president might have a document a bureaucrat wants back. Those are the reasons you need to raid homes, right?
Right.
This is
and there's no raids for the home down the street that is full of illegal immigrants and they're selling drugs in their driveway. There's no way they'll ever raid that home. Real fast, Tom, do the records suggest that the plan was always to go in there and kill these animals?
Yeah. So the plan was that they presumed there would be a rabies incident, and so they would just have to take the animals and kill them to test for the rabies. So the story that he bit, the squirrel bit someone, and that was the reason they had to do a rabies test is not true. They lied.
All right, we got to leave it there. Tom Fitton, Judicial Watch, he catches all the liars, and we love him for it. JudicialWatch.org. Give them some money so they can keep doing the work they do. Thanks, Tom. Great talking with you.
Thank you, guys.